What's up, Facebook? It is Mike Watson of Freestyle Komics, aka Super Mad Brotha, Voltron Crew, Team Short Fuse, Joint Chiefs, part of the Gauntlet. What's up? What's crack-a-lackin'? Give it a few minutes, get some people up in this joint. See if we can make some things happen as we get it set up and stuff. This is episode 2 of Dare Creative. If you've been keeping up with the Freestyle Komics page, we actually posted the sneak peek of Emerald Quest number 2. Yeah. Trying to make it happen, Captain. We're going to share this on my actual page. Trying to get this thing called social media under control. Don't you hate when your touchscreen don't do what you touch it to do? Like, how do you learn to type too? Whoa, talk comics. And why the heck does it do that? What is happening here? Oh, is that just live viewers? Like, where's the thing that there was like this really cool object? You know what? Whatever. I'll figure that pizzazz out later. Join me to talk comics and ask questions. Got 2 people in there. Bear with me, guys. You know how your phone does stuff and you're like, oh man, that's cool. Next time I do this, I'm going to use that. And now, like, that option's nowhere to be found. Bull and crap is what that is. Alright, I'm going to do this one last thing, and then we're going to just dive into it. People will mingle in here if they want to be. Let's see. Yeah. Let me put that link up there, though. Danny Cooper, if you figure out how to join in on this conversation, please do, because I'm not seeing the option anymore. Alright. Oh, shoot, we got 5 people. Let me start talking before I lose you. Alright, so we posted today the preview of Emerald Quest number 2. Epic fantasy story from Freestyle Komics. Written by me, Mike Watson. Drawn by several people. Inked by James Couts. And lettered by Danny Cooper. Editor, Kevin Rapp. And we have James P.A. Apologize for pronouncing the name wrong. James Gage and Ramita Jones, who have done the artwork on Emerald Quest number 2. Now, pretty excited about Emerald Quest. Here's the gist of it. Emerald Quest is a fantasy story, like I said. So if you like Game of Thrones, X-Men, or Lord of the Rings, Emerald Quest is a book for you. Great art, big scale fantasy. Right now we're setting up everything. So like the first issue was a bunch of pretty much laying down the plot lines that we're going to be focused on for a few issues or whatnot, trying to set that up. You kind of don't get, outside the cover, you kind of don't get who the main character is or whatnot. Second issue, which that was some feedback that we got from everybody. Let me see, I'm getting some comments here. Maybe I need to comment first. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know why it's not working. Alright, but so some of the critique and feedback that we got from the first issue is that there's not a lot of focus. You can't tell who is actually the main character of the story. which I can appreciate that feedback, and yeah, I can to a degree. I should have focused on that a little bit more and established that. I feel like, but I didn't really want that to be the thing. I wanted it to be these 3 separate stories that you are being introduced into these characters. I kind of wanted to put it on a level playing field, and I didn't want to force the character on you. And I may not have executed that as well as I wanted to. So this is, let's say, is this my first venture into writing a comic book full on? It would be, because I did a little sample writing in Hot Shot Zero, where I split the writing duties with Victor Dandridge. Emerald Quest would be the first book that I wrote head on on my own steam or whatnot. So, with that feedback in hand, I decided to go into the second issue to continue at a bit of a nice little slow pace here and give you more time with the character that the story is actually going to revolve around. I say in the light of Game of Thrones because of how Game of Thrones has you focused in different areas for different story plots and things like that. So that is definitely some things we're going to be doing here, but definitively Marquis is the main character of Emerald Quest, and we're going to be going through and experiencing a lot of things through her. Where's my pictures at? Now, this cover for issue number 2, if you guys have not seen it, is fantabulous. I love it. It's one of my favorite covers that we've ever done. Romina Jones did it. She did the ink, she did the line, she did the colors, everything on there. I wanted a truly reflective cover. One of the things that I did learn from my previous publisher and getting covers ready for comic books is that when you're doing a #1 issue, you got to make sure it's a simple design thing, and it kind of is. It should be obvious. You don't want to overcomplicate that first cover. You want to make that cover straight to the point, and you want everyone to know, who the character is, who we're going to be focused on or whatnot. So we definitely want to make sure it was a clear shot of the character. You can truly take it in and see her. So we really want to focus on Marquis for this cover, as this is going to be this part of the story is more focused on her. Romina killed it. She draws the best eyes and eyelashes. She just is an amazing artist. So with this cover, we really want to play with it. And the original idea was to have a reflection of Marquis' younger self in the sword. Let me see. Still not working. How does live choke? Alright, so how about some water? So the reflection was supposed to be Marquis' face when she was younger, and she's supposed to be raging, angry, or whatnot. That didn't come off so well. It didn't work because Marquis is already a young-looking character, so she's about 15 years old in the book, and we're trying to do a younger version of her that just didn't come out so good. So I definitely knew I wanted something in the sword to be a reflection and hit the mark on something dramatic to let you know, like, this is focused on Marquis. We're dealing with life and death issues, and she's got a troubled current situation, past and future. So I started searching up, it just popped in my head, like, why don't I just do a skull? And, I started looking up some reference for some skulls, and I started putting one in there, and that's the only, effect that we put in there that Romina actually did not do. So putting on the skull on the other side of Marquis' face, it was just killer. Like, boom, it was just a powerful, impactful image, and it draws your attention. The way she laid out the colors on this, it was just remarkable. So, big ups to her on nailing down this cover, and us ending up making things work with the effect in the sword or whatnot. And so we are going over here to page 1. Nope. Well, this isn't page 1. I just gave you 3 pages in the middle of this story. And right now, we see Marquis is going to be walking into this throne room with her war sister, Dominica. And we are here looking at Queen Sira. And they're kneeling down to her, fist onto the chest of the heart. And this is like the general way that you would acknowledge the queen when you come into the throne room. It's going to be pretty some subtle exchanges will be done on this page in this little conversation. But I did the layouts for the book, and Ramita went over top of it. This is actually Ramita's first comic book experience, drawing and inking a comic book. I did the layouts for it to try to guide her into that field. She normally does a lot of pinup artwork and commissions, which caught my eye to her work. I really enjoyed how she drew females and guys, and it looked like an anime style, but it was her own mix. So I thought she'd do killer over in Emerald Quest, which the work that she did do, she did. So we're on to this next page. We're still having this conversation with Sarah, and Marky is delivering or exchanging a bag with one of the servants. So I will hit you with the inside reader tip. Pay attention to that bag. It is important. Loving the lighting effects. We had Beth Hughes and Veronica Smith do colors on Emerald Quest to help us get this book done. And dude, this last panel on this very next page, like the first panel, I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a nice play with the eye where we have Dominica and Marky looking up and off panel, and then we have Queen Sarah looking down and off panel. It's just little subtle things like that that are really cool to me that I like seeing in comic books. And this last image of the last panel of Marky is just spot on, man. I love it. Like, she's just really, like, Ramita draws beautiful female faces. In this last page that we put up here in the preview, which is one of my favorite pages in the book, and I love seeing and doing these time-lapse moments where things are literally taking place within a minute. As we see, Dominica's in the foreground, Marky's in the background, the door is slowly starting to close. Dominica's seeing Marky in there. She's curious as to what this conversation is about. She walks across the field, the door starts to close even more, and then the next panel, the door is completely shut and it's in darkness. And we wake up to this little flare, and we have no idea. Well, you have no idea what that flare is. I know what it is. Danny and Kevin and everybody else knows what it is. And you know, that's the preview. Cool hint fact, like, been working on Emerald Quest since I've been in college. Not quite as long as Hot Shot, but around the same, maybe like a year or two away from Hot Shot. Less than Hot Shot or whatnot. And so a lot of these characters are inspired by some friends in college and things like that. So we may or may not touch on those bases and highlight some of those people or whatnot. But super excited to be that Emerald Quest is going to be out. Emerald Quest has had a rocky road. Probably about 6 years ago, EQ came out with the #1 issue. And then nothing else after that. We had this book come out. It was pretty good, and then I couldn't get any more books out of it. And again, that was on me for not being able to execute that or plan the correct way so I can get the book out. And so here we are. Last year we get Emerald Quest coming back out, and we redo it. Now, I decided to take on the writing duties for Emerald Quest because I knew exactly what I wanted to happen. I was trying to find someone else that could write it for me, and I do the plots and stuff like that. But I'm already kind of doing that on the Hot Shot and Vigilance and Heroes International books. So I got a couple pitches for him, and you know, one of my friends, and who also writes one of the books for me, Ethan, said to me that, you know, you might just have to be the guy that has to write this because you have this specific idea and specific way that you want the world to be. So you might just have to take it on. And sitting there thinking about that and writing, taking notes and stuff, you know, I was like, man, he's right. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to step into these shoes and see if I can write me a comic book. And that's what I did. So I learned a lot from that first issue, and I have the second issue. Obviously, is already written because we're done with the second issue, and the third issue is already written. I'm about to get ready to dive into the fourth one. Emerald Quest has had a rocky road to toe to get where it is right now. The #2 issue will be releasing in October, so be on the lookouts for that. And so we had James Gage. Now, some things that I learned from making comic books is when you're putting together your creative team, you need to look at what the creative team can bring to the table, besides skill. You want, having some people with some clout already in the industry adds massive bonus points to your book. So I was looking for somebody that had an awesome fan base and, had an art style that was more of an anime feel and that could really push the book with exciting animated frames, pretty much. Bright, bold, wicked cool colors and things like that. I wanted it to be super flashy. And I went to school with a gentleman called James, and his name was James Gage. You guys might know him as Artist JG. Fantastic artist. And, dude, his art, you go check him out on his Instagram page. Like I said, Artist JG. He is crazy good. He has the anime thing on lock, and his people of color are amazing. So I figured it was a good match. So I approached James and we got him drawn, and man, he killed that first issue art wise. He did it all. Pencils, inks, and colors. Destroyed it. But we got to that second issue. He started working on that. And life, and I am a big coiner of this, life comes at you fast. Things happen. Things unexpected. That you're taken out of control, and James wasn't able to draw the book anymore. So in the meanwhile, we were running behind on Emerald Quest, and I was trying to come up with solutions for how do we get this book out, and how do we get it out on time and make it happen, because I can't put out a second volume of a #1 issue and not be able to keep it up. Like, that would just look terrible. Right? So, came across another James, James PA, and he actually was an intern with Freestyle Komics doing The Basement of Doom, which he murdered that book. Murdered it dead. And so after handling that, I asked him if he was ready to step up and take on a comic. Which he was, but the plan was to have him do the 3rd issue and rotate out every other month. So at that time, James was still on board to do it, but again, life takes us on different paths. So eventually James had to bow out. And really, really, really loved what James brought to the table. And, I wish him success in all the things that he's doing. And it was a pleasure to have him on board. But now I'm looking for an artist to finish up the 2nd issue. And, you know what we use for looking for artists? We go on Instagram. Instagram is like the Walmart of shopping for art, finding artists. So and I came across Ramita Jones's page. And like I said, I was thoroughly impressed with how she draws women. #1. And I figured, or put in my head, so why don't we just give this a crack? The majority of the characters that are in leading roles in Emerald Quest are females. So let's get a female to take a run at it. Because you know what? Those little nuances and hairstyles and, how women move or how women look, in the eye, the way they walk and, carry themselves. I bet you a female will have a clearer understanding of that than I will. Not to out us guys here, but they she might have an advantage on it, which she does. Like I said, I really did dig her work. I really do. So, she, agreed to do it. She's never done a comic book before, and I'm like, that's cool. I'll walk you through it. We'll make it happen. And that's when I started doing all the rest of the layouts for the book for her. And we were getting back killer pages. But again, things happen. Things happen, and I'm actually quite used to things happen, so I'm always ready for it. And James was able to come in and help finish up the book. And between the 3 artists, we have a pretty solid copy of Emerald Quest #2. And what we try to do is regulate each artist to a single story thread within the book. So the shakeup of different styles isn't that jarring. But overall, the basis is there. And the reason that I say this, or the reason that I've discussed this, or, I'm posting Emerald Quest today, because, as you are an indie creator, pitfalls are going to happen. Things are going to go left when you want to go up the middle. Or when you want to go up to the left, things are going to go right. You have to be prepared for that. You have to constantly be working. You can't just let things grind you into the around and you know, you're like, oh shoot, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. You can't be stuck. Like, you have to find a way out. Like, you get to stumble, you get to trip up for a little bit, but you got to have a recovery. You got to get back up and figure out how you're going to move forward and make these things happen. With my recent, last year, we put out our books, I have a level of professionalism and a degree of books that I want to put out to outdo what I did last year, to show that I am here to publish comic books. I am a good publisher, and you know, and I've adopted that short fuse motto: we always deliver. I want to deliver. I want to deliver for my creative teams, and I want to deliver for the fan base that I've started to accumulate with Freestyle Komics. So sometimes you got to punch through when things don't go your way. I mean, I was ready to jump in and start drawing pages as well, for EQ, and we might I'll put those up like in an art book or sketch diary, because I did about 5 pages trying to help get the book done or whatnot. But like I said, James and Romina worked together to get that issue done for us, on top of what James Gage started. So I'm pretty excited about Emerald Quest. I'm happy that we're able to get this number 2 on the whole, and fully and ready to announce like the creative team of James PA and James Couts and Beth Hughes and Danny Cooper on letters and Kevin Rapp on edits and me as the writer, moving forward on EQ. Now, I think I've rambled enough on creatives. If you guys have any questions, of course, you could. I forgot to say that. I just started talking. But if you want to ask any questions, you're more than happy to. You can put questions in the comments. I mean, I'll come back and answer them. But I think I've rambled on long enough here. I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for Dare Creative episode 2 on the Freestyle Komics page, and we will be doing it again next week at the same time. The release schedule will be is posted, and I'll be updating it as we revealed Emerald Quest today. But next week it'll be a surprise again, 8:30. The preview pages will go up, and you'll see what book we'll be talking about. And each book that we talk about will bring a different subject with my experience and my team's experience working on comic books and trying to make them happen. So I think next week, if I can figure out how to do this guest feature thing on here, I'll have Danny Cooper on there with me next week, and he won't know what book we're doing. But there's only 2 left, so it's a 50-50 chance of what. No, we have a 3rd one. But you know, I'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you guys coming in and tuning in and stuff. Again, you got any questions, go ahead and pop them up. But that is this week's episode of Dare Creative, and I'll chat it up with you guys later on. Thank you.